All right, so when we think about credit and risk, we're all taught to trust the numbers, right? But what if I told you the real story, the human story, is actually hiding right there, inside the data? Well, today, we're going to go find it.
This one idea is pretty much the heart of this entire explainer. We're so used to looking at credit as just, well, numbers, right? Balances, scores, interest rates. But what if every single loan is actually a narrative, a human story just waiting to be understood?
Okay, so let's dive right in. Section 1. We're going to start by looking for that story within the numbers themselves. You see, traditional credit analysis, it gives us scores and balances for sure. But think of those as just a single chapter in a much bigger book. They often miss the full context, the complete story behind the figures.
But when we start to reframe the conversation, something amazing happens. We realize that every financial decision is so much more than just a transaction. It's a piece of a human narrative, a story of opportunity, of risk, of resilience. And really, it's about the trust between the data we all provide and what we actually intend to do with it.
And that brings us to the real core of this whole thing: scores versus patterns. You can think of it like the difference between a single snapshot and the full movie. And believe me, it is an absolutely critical distinction.
This really breaks it down perfectly. A credit score, that's your snapshot. It shows performance. It tells you what happened. But the patterns? Oh, the patterns are like the whole film strip. They show behavior. They tell you how, and more importantly, why it happened. It's like this. One is the final grade on a report card. The other is the story of how you earned it.
And that's the key, isn't it? If you really want to understand the story, you have to look at the behavior. Because that's where you find the context, the nuance. It tells the truth that a single flat number just never, ever can.
So this naturally brings us to Section 3, the power of behavior. Now that we know patterns are the key, let's really dig in and explore what we can learn when we stop focusing on the what and start understanding the why behind the numbers.
So I'm going to ask you directly. Just think about it for a second. When we move beyond a simple score, what do we really find? What is a person's financial behavior, their patterns of spending, saving, borrowing? What does that truly reveal about them?
Well, it reveals the human side of risk. A score just says, hey, a payment was late. That's it. But behavior, it shows the context. Was that late payment a one-time emergency, like a medical bill? Or is it part of a bigger, more worrying trend? Behavior explains the score fluctuations and helps us uncover the totally unique story hiding in every single data set.
Okay, so this focus on the human story and on behavior, it leads us to a really powerful and I think kind of new concept. We're calling it data empathy, and it really represents a whole new way of approaching and understanding risk. And here it is, in its simplest, most powerful form. Risk analysis. It isn't just about math or fancy algorithms. At its very best, it is data empathy. It's the simple practice of connecting the numbers back to the actual people they represent.
So what do we actually mean when we say data empathy? Let's break it down. It's the practice of actively looking for and understanding the human context, the specific behaviors, and the individual stories that are buried inside a data set. It's basically about learning to read between the lines of the data. All right, so with this powerful new philosophy in our back pocket, let's see how it actually translates from just an idea into real empowerment. It's time to go from analysis to action.
But this requires a bit of a shift in our mindset, We have to stop just processing data, and we need to start actually listening to it. And when we truly listen to the stories the data is telling us about the people behind it,
We unlock insights that create this incredible win-win situation. This deeper understanding protects institutions because they get a much more nuanced picture of risk. And at the same time, it empowers individuals because they're being seen for their whole story, not just one little number.
And this right here is the really beautiful conclusion of this whole approach. It's the meeting point of two worlds that we often think of as being totally separate. This is where the cold, hard logic of data meets the warm, nuanced understanding of empathy.
And when you get right down to it, by applying data empathy, we completely transform credit from just a transaction into a story. We actually begin to see the person, their journey, their true potential, in a way a simple score could never, ever show us.
And so this leaves us with one final, really important question to think about. In a world that is just so driven by data in all parts of our lives, what other human stories are we missing? What stories are we completely overlooking just because we're only looking at the surface? I mean, just imagine what we could achieve if we started looking for the story in all the data that's all around us. It's definitely something to think about.